Welcome to the Floral Shop podcast, where flowers and business blend seamlessly. Join our journey to uncover the secrets of elite event designers and get insights into the art of running a successful floral shop. Here is your host, Ziv Raviv.
Hello and welcome back to the Floral Shop podcast. Hi, together with me is Jessica Christopherson. Jessica is the owner of Cymbidium Floral, a floral shop from New Hampshire. Hello, Jessica.
Hello. Thanks so much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you with us. Tell me a little bit about your journey as a floral, because I've noticed you've been all through like all sorts of cycles in your business, and you care about certain things that you show, except for the aesthetics that are wonderful. So tell us the story of the creation of Cymbidium Floral.
Okay. I first was kind of exposed to floral design when I was in college, studying abroad in London. And I was still very much undecided with what I wanted to do with my life, but I knew it was something to do with design. And I was offered the opportunity to do an internship. And I asked if I might be able to do it with a florist. And they happily said, yes, I could do that for credits for college. And that is where I first got my kind of first exposure to learning the names of flowers, washing buckets, kind of all aspects of the industry. And I still wasn't sure if that was what I wanted to do, but I continued with my degree in interior design and realized that was not the direction I wanted to go, and kind of came back to flowers. And after working in the industry for a few years, I really knew that my passion was my desire to open my own shop. So I worked in Chicago, a bunch of different places, and I knew that I would like to open a shop back closer to where my roots were and my family. So I moved back to New England with my soon-to-be husband and kind of started looking for a place to open a shop. I wanted a small community, kind of the idea of a college town feel, because I know those types of communities tend to be very supportive of small businesses. And I ultimately found the perfect spot almost going to be 19 years ago now.
Yes, 19 years of having your own space where you nurture the relationships with the community. And in this amount of time, you practically serve people through their weddings and their newborn parties and showers, and families for generations by now. And I'm noticing that there was a touch in when I see your shop online, you could feel the interior design roots.
Mm.
You think that matters, like the look of your shop?
Oh, definitely. And we get complimented on it all the time, just how beautiful the space is, how inviting. People ask all the time, like, can I just come hang out in here? Can I pull up a chair with a cup of coffee and just stay here? So I think it definitely matters. The look, the feel, everything. And it conveys our sense of warmth and the passion for what we do through the design of our store.
And I'm also noticing that you pay a lot of attention to your pictures of your products. Can you tell me a little bit about, do you get any help with that? What's the process?
Yeah.
How often you do it?
Sure. Yeah. I'm very fortunate that I have very talented team members as part of Cymbidium. So we've primarily done the photos ourselves, and we've experimented, but we've found that we shoot using just daylight on a little table kind of up near the front of our shop where the light is perfect, just using an iPhone, and then kind of editing the images just a tiny bit, not major manipulations. But it allows us to take photos on a daily basis if we want to. And we use those in our Instagram and on our Shopify website. And then every few years, I'll hire a professional photographer to come in and do updated shots of like myself and my team working, and more of the interior of the shop in a broader photo, which is difficult for us to take. But yeah, we've found that it works well for us.
I also noticed that you offer some of your arrangements quite a wide range of price points. So For example, you will say you could buy a mini version for $30, a small version for 50. And this is all from your website that is open for everyone to see, like medium size, 75, yes, all the way through all sorts of large options, all the way to till 250. Have you been experimenting with this? What made you make the choice of giving that range?
Yeah, so we definitely have played with this over the years. I started with actually even more options when I launched a website many years ago. And I found that simplifying the options made it a little simpler for people, because we would often get questions of what's the difference between a $45 arrangement and a $50 arrangement. And to us, that's obvious. It's $5, and that is about a flower or two, depending on the flower. But we found by limiting the options from where I started, made it more clear to people. And I feel very like it's very important to have that very tiny, the mini option, because I want to be able to fit everyone's budget. And I think that just even a little bit of flowers can really change somebody's day and make a difference in their life. So having that lower price point at the $30 is something that I really enjoy having, and our customers appreciate it.
And what's your strategy and your process for dealing with like deliveries? Do you deliver every day? Where do you deliver? Did you have any dilemmas about that?
Yeah, so I think are a bit unique in that we use a courier service for our deliveries, which is something that I learned from a shop I worked with in Chicago for several years. And it's a bit more rare in a smaller community where we live. But I was fortunate enough to find someone back before I opened in 2005 who had a courier business and was excited to partner with me. And it gives us the flexibility. So we deliver 6 days a week. We're always closed on Sundays. And I don't have a full-time driver on our payroll. We just have this courier service that knows, we're going to have, anywhere from a couple to many deliveries a day. They kind of set aside a driver or some time knowing that we will need them. And we just call them and kind of give them an update saying, okay, we're going to have probably about 6 ready in the next half hour or so. And it's worked great for us. And they also have become a very important part of our team and have become like our Cymbidium family over the years. And they learn customers' addresses. If someone types in an address wrong, oftentimes they'll say, oh, I know where they live. So it's been a really great decision on my part and to partner with them.
Have you ever looked into how often people shop with you, just to kind of geek around the details of lifetime value of client or average lifetime value and stuff like that?
Yeah, I don't save like those kind of metrics, but I do know that we have many, many customers who are longtime customers, and I know their faces and their names from many of them from the start being in business. And my drivers will confirm that, like, oh yes, we've been to this house so many times. So we feel really good about that.
Do you like it when your client asks you to also like decorate their events, their weddings and whatnot? Is it something that you are excited about?
It was something I was more excited about when I first started. In the last 7 years or so, I've actually scaled back on doing events. And I certainly liked it in the aspect of being part of all of their important events and being part of their family. But as far as business and my own personal life was concerned, I decided to scale back on events after I had my children and realized that doing events didn't coincide well with me raising my children and being around for them on the weekends when they're free. So I made the decision to kind of scale back, and now we do almost none. And that has worked out very well on a personal level, and it's been fine on a business level as well.
Sometimes when we work with a lot of people, we also get to experience the hardship of working with hard clients that are problematic, that are maybe even hurt our feelings in the way that they conduct themselves and speak with us and whatnot. Do you have a story of a client that said things to you that were off-putting?
It definitely happens to us. Luckily, not too frequently, but it does. And I can't think of one particular story, but kind of the method I've learned to deal with that is always just I acknowledge their feelings, be extremely polite. I go above and beyond to do whatever it is I can to make them feel heard and do what it is that would make them feel better about the situation. I always try to either, deliver another product or find a solution versus just giving them their money back, because I feel like just getting your money back, it doesn't always make you just feel better. I want them to see that we can create something that they're happy with, or whatever it is that will make them feel better. And it's worked well. And then on a personal level, whenever I have kind of a negative interaction, what makes me feel better is I reach out and do something nice to someone else. And then I feel like I've kind of put the universe back in balance. So when someone's complained and I feel bad, I will then send just like either someone I know in the community who's suffering or just a random passerby. I give something away and then I feel better.
Being a floral, the bright side of it is that you have this power over your community. You prove that something important happens in their lives, that people care about each other. You actually facilitate all of that love and care. Was there a client of yours that you remember that really moved you in the way that your flowers impacted their lives?
We're so fortunate that we get stories probably at least once a week about how just the timing of them receiving a flower arrangement changed their whole day. They were having an awful day, or just coincidentally a loved one had passed and they were receiving flowers for, another reason, but that it was just so, that the timing of it was just impeccable and made them feel just so much better. So it happens all the time. And even just a coincidental, like, we've included a certain flower just by pure coincidence that happened to be like their grandmother's favorite flower. That happened recently. And they're like, how did you know? We didn't know, but seeing that just made them feel so connected and special.
Wow. So I want to talk about sustainability, because that's a topic that you care a lot about, and you even educate your clients about the many things that you do to improve that. So talk to me, how did that evolve over the years, and what are some of your advices or special things that you feel like are out of the ordinary that you do?
Sure. Well, I've always felt that it's important to recycle, and that was drilled into me by my parents back when I was young. They felt, it was really important. I remember always getting told, no, don't put that in the garbage. That goes in the recycling. So it's something I grew up with. But one of the first things I did with my shop when I opened was I offered a program where people could return the vase that we designed the flowers in back to our shop and get the actual value of the vase. So say the vase itself costs $6. They would be able to take $6 worth of flowers or some other product from the shop in exchange for the vase. And that has blossomed over 19 years to a list of names. They don't have to take it, when, at the time, if they're, heading out to dinner or something, we'll just write their name down and how much credit they have. And now we probably have like a 30-page list of names of people who still have a couple of dollars balance left or hundreds of dollars of balance. And they will then come in, and sometimes they let it lapse and it's just there. Or sometimes they'll come in and they feel like $1 million when they get to treat themselves to, an arrangement for the vases that they've returned. So I felt that's a really easy, like win-win situation. And then I'm not buying as many vases and just putting them out on the earth to do nothing. So I highly recommend that to every florist out there.
It's such a simple change of policy. And I bet it is proven by your experience, years of experience, that people appreciate it and remember it and come back. And it builds that relationship where they come in again and again, where they know they are going to work with you. It's like being a member of a club of sorts, only it's a member of values. Like the club is all about sharing the values of sustainability and caring about those little details, and it saves money for everyone. It's good for the environment. It saves you space. It's just such a easy to implement and clever idea. Thank you for sharing that. What are some other things that people can do to improve sustainability in their floral?
Absolutely. So one of the biggest things I did, and I started this probably about 10 years ago, was that we compost all of our floral scraps. And anyone who's in the floral industry knows that that is a huge part of our waste, is the floral scraps. And that can all go right to either composting in a local farm, as we have someone who wants it and comes and picks it up, or like an industrial composting system where they come and pick it up a barrel full. I don't have space to compost myself, like out in the back of my shop, and that's a whole nother experience. But if you have either of those other options available, I very highly recommend it. We end up throwing away just like a small bag of actual trash each week. We recycle all of our cardboard, which is a ton. And then with the composting, there's very little actual waste left. And I feel that's really important because, you know, the business that we're in with a product that's short-lived and it brings joy and it has lots of value, but essentially it's just a short-lived product that's going to go into the garbage. Let it go into a compost system where it gets another life again.
This is something that you could find, like a composting farm or a farm that offers you some composting services. You could find that online relatively easily, right?
I would think so. I mean, in the area where we live, there's tons of little farms. And this particular farm I partnered with was very excited because these elements enrich our soil. So I would think that lots of places would have something like that.
Yeah, and you just need to look for them. Any last tip about sustainability that people could think about?
Sure. We don't use any floral foam. And that was a switch I made many years ago. And I am so happy with that decision because floral foam is definitely really bad for the environment. And I know there's some newer alternatives out there now, but I've been very happy with that decision. And I haven't used the alternatives. I just merely stick to designs that don't require foam, period. And for me personally, I like it. I like designing that way better. And there's less waste in general. And we just use regular water, no preservatives or anything. And our designs last a really long time.
What do you use for tying the flowers so that they will stay in the shape that you designed?
When we're designing in a vase, we don't have any mechanism whatsoever. We're just kind of designing using grains and a grid system, like without tape, just inserting our stems and at angles so they kind of form a grid themselves. But when we do a hand-tied bouquet that does have to be tied, I use a natural raffia.
I love it. So one more question before we go into the game show part of the interview. What do you do with requests for money back? Like if someone wants to return the flowers a day later, maybe 2 days later, it's starting to wilt. How do you deal with that situation?
Yeah. If someone feels like they're not happy with the product, I just let them we'll redeliver a fresh arrangement and we'll take back the container and the flowers from the day before and enjoy them ourselves. Or sometimes we'll get that with a plant and same thing. I just let them do it if request is made within a reasonable amount of time. And unfortunately, it does not happen very often. So I just kind of in the grand scheme of things know that some people will have an issue with something, legitimate or not, and just replace it. That's the best way to handle it, in my opinion.
And often, do they insist on getting money back, or do they usually agree for the replacement?
Very rarely. Yeah, very rarely. And if they insist on money back, then I just give them their money back. Again, I just kind of try to look at the big picture, and like the percent of complaints versus volume of sales is, at least in my experience, is so low that I just don't get hung up on it. But if I feel like someone is abusing that and really taking advantage, then I'll try to find a reasonable way to just say no.
Cool. So thank you so much for sharing with us. We are now going to play the Floral Shop game show. We have 5 questions for you. Here we go. Question number 1. How do florists make sure their flowers stand out in a competitive market? A, by giving each flower a motivational speech every morning. B, offering unique and exotic flower varieties. C, launching a floral fragrance line that smells like fresh dirt. Or D, naming each bouquet after famous celebrity scandals.
Oh, well, those are certainly fun answers, but I would go with B.
Right, offering a unique. Do you offer any exotic flowers that you are proud of that you're offering?
Yes, I do, and that's one of the things that also my customers love about my shop is that they say at least once a day, like, "I've never seen this flower. Where does this come from?" And that I love that because it's a way to converse with people. And I'm not sure why everybody doesn't carry them, but I love things like a Gloriosa lily or a protea or things that look like Dr. Seuss created them.
Love it. Question number 2. What's the secret to creating visually stunning bouquets? 1, A, using only flowers that match the florist's outfit. B, incorporating a variety of textures, colors, and height. C, adding a few sprigs of plastic foliage for the vintage touch. Or D, ensuring every bouquet includes a hidden treasure map.
Again, very fun, but I'm going to say B. That is our philosophy.
It is indeed be incorporating a variety of textures, colors, and heights. And if you go to the Cymbidium website, which we will link to it in the show notes, you could see some very nice arrangements indeed. Question number 3. When preparing flowers for a big event, why might a florist use ice cubes in the water? A, to challenge the flowers to a cold water plunge. B, to make the bouquet ready for a cocktail garnish. C, to slowly release water and keep the flowers fresh longer. Or D, to simulate a mini iceberg for thematic event.
I think I'll have to admit I've never used ice cubes, but I would guess it was C, to keep them fresh over time.
It's really interesting how in the floral world, the more we play this game show, we see that sometimes there's one question correct, but there's many ways to get to the same effect. And maybe some people use ice cubes according to our research, but not everyone, of course. Next question. What's the eco-friendly reason for using peat-free potting mix? A, to make the pots lighter and easier to carry. B, to protect peatland ecosystem. C, because peat is now a luxury spa ingredient. Or D, to avoid attracting peat-loving gnomes to the garden.
Okay, I think that answer would be B.
Yeah, you are correct.
Yeah.
And indeed, peatland ecosystem is something we try to protect. And last question. Good. How do florists keep their workspace organized during busy season? A, by teaching the flowers to march back into place. B, using color-coded bins for different tools and supplies. C, hiring a professional flower whisperer as a consultant. Or D, implementing a strict no wilting policy for efficiency.
Oh boy, those all sound like good options to me. I like the flower whisperer myself.
You are the flower whisperer yourself, right. Actually. You don't need to hire anyone.
Right. Yes, exactly.
So what do you do to arrange your shop your workspace so nicely?
Yeah, well, I happen to be a very organized person in general, but I do like a very clean, organized workspace. And one of the things that my employees kind of laugh about is that between every arrangement I make, I insist on cleaning my workspace. I will make an arrangement. I wipe off the table afterwards. I put all, any scraps right into the trash or compost. And if I have a floral order, I put it in the order, but I'm always just kind of a one at a time thing and clean between.
Wow.
And that's how I don't lose anything.
And do you have a problem sometimes with like remembering which arrangement is for a specific client, or how do you actually mark them for the delivery service?
Yeah. So what we'll do is we have a piece of paper with the order. And as we make each arrangement, we write out the card or the address tag or whatever that goes with the arrangement. And I place that tag in a separate pile for my list of deliveries. And then I write out the actual card message that's going on I write out that card message, I put that aside. And then I put the original order into the flower arrangement on a little like plastic pick. So the order is in the arrangement together. And then we reuse those plastic picks over and over again. But that's how, they stay paired together and we don't have any problems.
Love it. And some people use color coding. If that's helpful for anyone listening, then you have one more option. Jessica, you win a prize, which is to have your site reviewed professionally for conversions, Shopify enhancements, a list of add-ons that are recommended for Shopify, and even have a mock-up remade for your website where you could be inspired by potential minor changes that you could do to improve the conversions of clients when they browse through your website. So this website review is going to be filmed and recorded separately. Congratulations, Jessica. And thank you so much for having taking the time to share with us your story and some of your secrets and enthusiasm for sustainability.
Oh, thank you so much again for having me. And I'm excited about that prize winning. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you guys for listening to the Floral Shop podcast.
Thanks for tuning into the Floral Shop podcast. For more floral resources and stories, visit our website, floralshoppodcast.com, or step into our school at floralshopacademy.com. Don't forget to subscribe for our next flowery adventure. Keep blooming until we meet again.